Yeah, so my journey into the San Diego Young Republicans, SDYR, started really right after the onset of the COVID lockdowns.
Okay.
At the time, I was living with 6 other roommates right after college with my first job over in PB, which I moved in way after. Younger kids usually hang out in PB. I was already past that life when I moved there, but enjoyed living there because it was right next to the beach. I was on Garnett.
Of course.
Lockdowns happen, immediately at this point, 2020, I had run for local office. I ran for city council in Santee in 2018. Got 30% of the vote, didn't win, but won in many other ways. Understanding how it works, making the connections, learning the ins and outs. But so yeah, I was aware of already kind of how local governance worked. And so when the lockdowns happened, I didn't go complain and cry to the federal government. I didn't really go and cry to the state government. I paid attention to my local government because they were the first line of defense between any federal or state government that tried to enforce something. Well, little did I know, we had a local elected official that was very much enjoying the newfound authority that the county was being granted by the state. So he was going after bars that were fighting it, trying to, having them raided the next morning. He was sending surfers home with $1,000 fines, and
Yeah, I remember that.
it was just an insane. Even today, if you sit and reflect, it's absolutely batshit crazy. None of it justifies what was happening. None of it is proper governance. All of it is unconstitutional. Much of it got shot down in court when it finally made its way through. Didn't make news after it lost in court, but it did, especially with the state. Well, we'll get to that. But so all this chaos is happening, and I felt very, I had a camera, and I was going to the beach, and I was showing people from my Instagram lives or videos, showing people. Look, you can sit here, and then 20 feet over here, you can't sit here, but then 20 more feet, you can sit here.
Kind
and then
of
just
pinpointing the
showing
craziness.
all the nonsense. Look, you guys, get out of your house. I know you're told to stay in, but just take some fresh breath of air and look at the nonsense, because it makes no sense. Even if it was aimed at being cleansly and sanitary, it still didn't make any sense.
Yeah, and one comment there. So I always thought hey, COVID. We don't know what this is, pandemic, right? Okay, let's lock down for 2 weeks, maybe 4 weeks max. But I think after that, Sweden opened back up, Florida opened back up, and they were okay, no one's fucking dying. What you said, the goal was cleanliness and for your safety, right? For your safety, which I can understand, but just because there was a little bit of pros doesn't outweigh the massive cons.
Wait, what are you sacrificing?
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I always looked at it through the lens of what are we giving over that we'll never get back? And that was a period of a lot of stuff we handed over that I still don't think we'll ever get back. And that gave me the energy at the time to go and record what was happening, have police harass me or us, the people I was with, when we were on the sidewalk, look at we weren't even doing anything, and they came up to us to create, I don't know. They had this authority of them that meant that they felt very brazen in flexing, because they were so much uncertainty at the time. So when there's uncertainty, law enforcement usually has that upper hand because they're the rule of law, right?
Yeah.
So seeing all of these things happen, it was essential that I found another mechanism for me to get involved and facilitate sounding the alarms, right? That's something that I've been doing since I was 17. So I wanted to find an organization that would do that. Found SDYR. At the time, there was not much happening, I think justifiably, because everything was closed down. So there was a difficulty in organizing at the time. I was just a regular board member. We had a couple of gatherings, but there wasn't an infrastructure at SDYR for it to be something that really continued unless the people there really did a insane effort on their own, which the president at the time, Morgan, he did. And we did get really a good event that happened. But he was also getting call orders from the military to deploy, and it was being called on other assignments. So he had to hand off SDYR presidency. And at the time, again, I was just a regular board member. Everyone else really faded off on the board. So it was just Morgan and myself. We were the only ones that were SDYR. And from that point, it was like Morgan and I were like, who can we, light this up? Like I'm a different flavor. I don't know if I'm the right figurehead at the time, but we should find someone that is. And at the time, Cynthia was a superb volunteer on like 7 different campaigns and was a voice, a name you always heard coming up. And so it was a no-brainer that she was the first to come that we thought of. And she very much enthusiastically accepted the role, handed off the presidency to her. And then it was just me and her. And we decided we needed to really build this out and not focus on being warm bodies for anybody or a cheap ATM for someone, but a sustaining infrastructure that allows the continuation of this community, which didn't exist really. It was SDYR started in 2010, but like hasn't had a structure to continue.
Yeah, I remember Cynthia mentioning that,
making it relevant. So we were like, this is the year we do that. So all that happened at the turn of 2022. Because again, like I said, there was a lot of empty periods where nothing was happening. All of this happened at the turn of 2022. Cynthia and I got together. We're like, let's rebrand all of this. So let's even restructure our hierarchy. So we redid the bylaws, our constitution, our mission statement, redid the graphic on our logo, redid the website, changed everything. We acquired Mariko, who is a staffer for. But I feel like staffer doesn't encompass like how crazy incredible she is at politicking and organizing and understanding and networking. But she works for Supervisor Joel Anderson for the county. She was friends with Cynthia. She came in. She became the second VP. So it was just president, VP. And then we went out and found the most competent young Republicans at the time we could. And boy, did we get from the ground up. And boy, did we get lucky. People who have worked at the RNC, people who had their own marketing firms. I mean, these are people our age.
Yeah,
and
Cole.
Exactly.
Sharp guy.
Yeah, and wrote an author. So finding all of these just incredible, phenomenal, extraordinary San Diegans that were Republican-minded and wanted to do something fun and change, like that lit a whole fire where I was like, okay, this is my next chapter. I'm going to grow this group as much as I can, bring attention to it, enthusiasm, energy, and I'm going to roll my sleeves up and clap back. I'm tired of being defined as a Republican by Democrats or liberals or leftists or progressives or whatever. I'm tired of them getting to tell us here in San Diego who we are based off of some idiot out in Alabama. Yeah. Enough. We're not the same. There's a spectrum, and we're gonna start declaring it. And so the mission was to start declaring who we are. We're a diverse group of eclectic people from around different walks of life. We have different Republican philosophies, but we're also on the same page when it comes to what we, like you said, those fundamental conversations of what we want. We don't want people shooting bow and arrows into people's head, which happened in downtown San Diego. Someone got hit in the head, or in Balboa Park.